It should be very interesting to see. So I think they'll get that started now. As we're waiting for the picks to come in, a lot of people know that the Nemesis team that made it through these qualifiers featured I Love Joseph, a very well-known team. He helped Arden qualify for VIPL. Now he helped Nemesis Hydra qualify for here. But what's interesting is the classic Nemesis roster we're seeing today, arguably a deeper hero pool, would you say, Rome? And it might benefit them in the picks and bans.
They do have a much larger hero pool, with Hardik primarily playing out of the jungle, and Coez just dominating the lane. He's probably one of the best farmers I've ever seen.
Oh, that's awesome. And so right off the bat, Nemesis Hydra, they say no Celeste.
No Celeste is actually a pretty good ban. In my opinion, I would have went and picked Kroll. I've seen Vertigo Black play Kroll, and I am scared.
All right, we'll see. I would not expect Nemesis Hydra to first pick a Kroll. That's not really their style.
Well, hopefully they can hear us. They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to be able to hear us, so I hope they can't. Nemesis Hydra, of course, is this team. They seem to have an uncanny sixth sense, Hapu, of when to diving in and making it work, whether it's under turret or not, even when you or I would think you can't possibly win that fight.
I think they really know their limits. So it's important to know your limits if you're going to be diving turrets, for sure.
All right, and a first pick of Scarf coming off the board for Nemesis Hydra. What's that about, Rome?
Scarf is going to be probably played by Coeds in lane. He's just going to farm, try and get as much items as he can, and he's going to scale well into the late game. With Vertigo Black coming up next, I'm expecting a first pick of Arden and a laner, saving their jungle carry for last. Oh, and they go with Kroll.
There it is. You called it. What do they do with Kroll that these other teams don't? Why does this work for them?
They will try and 1v3 the Nemesis team late game, and he's probably going to do really well at it because they secured Catherine as a stunner, who actually is a very good counter pick towards a Kroll.
Okay, so that's the peel there as well. But can they get to the late game? Can they get to a late game against such an aggressive Nemesis Hydra team?
I'm assuming that we're going to see a Glaive and a Fortress coming up next, coming out of...
Ooh, that is very specific, and it is
I
not
am
right
totally
at all.
wrong today.
All right, you used up all your mojo earlier
on the last game.
What does an Arden Ringo comp give Nemesis Hydra here?
Some more kiting room, right?
Yeah, they do have a lot more kiting room.
So this is probably just to counteract the Cruel.
But what's going to happen here is if Catherine has like a free visibility, able to get deep, put up a stun, and Cruel just dashes in, I'm not too sure that Nemesis Hydra is going to be able to kite back and use their difference in distance to actually put out some damage.
Should be very interesting. It is a 2 seed. Nemesis Hydra is the 2. Vertigo Black is the 7. But there's a lot of buzz out of Vertigo Black after they were able to. And Vox is very apropos here. In the qualifier, it was a heads-up match versus Halcyon Hammer's Force. Winners makes it to this live final, which is the top 8 teams in North America. Loser was out, and Vox was certainly a story of those games, especially with Xenotech's special Aftershock Vox build that then just ran like wildfire through all the teams. What does a Vox bring to Vertigo Black here?
Vox actually gives them a very good advantage in the lane, considering he can rotate down and help Cruel scale well into the late game. That's pretty much going to be their idea within the first 7 minutes of this match. Quick rotations down, protect your side of the jungle, and just try and scale out better than the other team.
Any final thoughts on the Nemesis 3 versus the Vertigo 3?
They're going to have to lock down Kroll. Atlas's Shiver Steals, and just pretty much preventing him from getting anywhere near any of the carries, protecting that back line, and just trying to outscale, outdominate, and pretty much just outdistance this guy.
I cannot wait to see this match. It is the one I have been waiting for. Let's go to our casters, Forecourt Jester and Tasty Bacon, for all the juicy action.
All right, thank you, Playoff Beard. As he mentioned, this is such an exciting matchup between these two teams. Vertigo Black, it's their chance to really make their name here at the North American Finals. They've in the past, in previous tournaments, they were never really the team that other teams watched out for, and this is really their chance to make their mark and get themselves on the map and say, hey, we're here. We are a team that you need to prepare for as hard, if not even harder, than others.
Well, it's kind of like a little bit rude to say, but a lot of these guys have treated them like the doormat. They are almost the gatekeepers here of Vainglory. But now they're here as the 7th seed, and going into this one, I mean, they have a late game comp that could absolutely do them well, and we'll have to see how well they actually do fare by the end of it. But on the left-hand side, Nemesis Hydra. It is no longer the Titans, but the Hydras are now coming out 2nd seed in this tournament as well. They've been looking good, and Vertigo Black, I mean, as I said, they've been coming up. They've been around for a while, and their Kroll pick is something that they really, really adore.
Yeah, Kroll, and taking the Kroll and then adding a Vox to it, this late game is going to be terrifying as long as they can weather that storm and get there. But that's what they do. That's what Vertigo Black does in their games. In the qualifier to get here, they lived on the late game, and I would expect them to just be looking to do the exact same thing here.
So the big thing is, can Hardik and Lost Boy Top do enough early game roaming to kind of just shut down some of this jungle and try to delay the late game? Because if they can't, well, it's going to be a heck of a time. And Beowulf and Rix are just really going into co-eds this early on. Man, like under the turret, 2 shots there to Beowulf. They're not going to get co-eds, but they are going to take a heck of a lot of damage for their trouble. And now as Hardik and Lost Boy Top come into this one, I mean, they're a little bit late to the party, but this early game already tower diving? Like, my goodness, they really want to get off to a good start.
Yeah, Kroll gets a lot of flack for being so weak in the early game.
Oh, they got the Achilles shot there on top of Beowulf. Oh, is it going to be enough? The twirling silver Hardik is not in range. He does not have the vision, and he cannot pick this one up. And at the same time, Coeds has been taking a heck of a lot of damage. Now Rix, he could actually go down as the first here as Hardik. He's looking for it. He will get it. 1 tower shot is not going to be enough to bring down that Ringo. And by the end of it all, a lot of low hit points across the board, but a first blood to Nemesis.
Yeah, the minion candy actually used their on-the-lane minions just to get extra damage onto the opponents. And with how close it was to an escape from the side of Vertigo Black, that little bit of extra damage may have actually been what got them that kill.
Well, it was definitely down to a nail-biting finish, but Coed's now into this lane. Best Chuck NA, of course, with that Vox, is going to have to play around those fireballs there from Coed's, but at the same time, Best Chuck NA, he's definitely been an up-and-comer here. Definitely a lot of talk about him here at this tournament.
Yeah, Best Chuck NA is, there's talk of him being one of the best laners in North America. And this is his chance to prove it here on the stage in front of everyone here at Esports Arena. And right now, doing a great job against someone like a Scarf who is so strong at last hitting with that Spitfire. And Vox he has a little bit of trouble with the last hits in the early game. That's where Vox really struggles. He doesn't really turn on until he gets at least an item or 2 under his belt. So we're going to have to keep an eye on how well Vertigo continues to just sort of keep the pressure off is what they're looking to do. It's completely opposite of pretty much every other team here. Like all the other teams are, we want to be aggressive, we want to get early leads, we want to just dominate the game from the start. And Vertigo, they want to just keep things passive. They want to just play safe and make it to the late game.
Yeah, Chuck able to take a few chunks out of Coeds right there, but he's got to be very careful not to take too much counterpoke himself. If they do want to erupt here into a fight, they're going to need all the hit points that they can get, but Hardik using a little bit of that vision, he's going to be trying to bring down Beowulf. He hasn't actually used that shield, and they got to be thinking, all right, where's this Kroll? He's down into this corner, and he did actually just pick up his back. So Hardik and Lost Boy Toff, I mean, they are keeping up some of this early game pressure to try to make use of the fact that this is going to be a late game comp, and well, I mean, Rix and Hardik, like, Rix is going to be able to get off a few shots, but here comes the big collapse right there from Vertigo Black. If they can take down this Ringo, they can totally make it worth their while, but they don't have any shots. Oh my goodness, the scout trap by the end of it, and the shield reflect, it's just not enough. Instead, it will be the Arden going down, and well, sure, a point on the board, and they have now rebuffed the pressure coming out from Nemesis.
Yeah, gold is still even 4 minutes in, so no big advantage either way, but they're going for this gold miner as soon as it spawns. It's not going to be a big gold payout for them, but it will be that extra vision, that extra map control that they love to have. They're all about just rotating and making calls together as a team to have their decisions be cohesive, and that's how they can beat other teams, is by the fact that they are just going to be more cohesive in their decisions to go and focus on objectives rather than look for fights.
All right, so Nemesis, once again, just kind of come down into the item area. They don't have a Ringo, so there's not going to be a lot of pressure coming out of them yet. Vox back in the lane as well, just trying to keep up with that creep score. He is actually surpassing Coeds when it comes to those last hits. He does have a kill under his belt there as well, so his gold situation is not nearly so bad as one might think. But 5 minutes coming into it, and a gold mine already going over to Vertigo Black. That's a lot of vision that they're going to have. So any kind of big invade, they're going to be knowing about it way ahead of time here from Nemesis, and that's going to make the Nemesis job that much harder.
5 minutes and alternating current was just picked up by Best Chuck NA.
As I said, he's the guy to talk about this weekend.
Yeah, that's the alternating current. That's obviously one of the big core items for a Crystal Power Vox,
right,
which is what he's clearly going to be building. And it's to have it that early is rather impressive. He's going to be able to last hit so much easier, getting that bonus damage on every other auto attack. And of course, with those attacks bouncing around too, he can put out so much damage in a team fight. And he's already kind of into that sort of mid-game, despite the fact that we're still very much in the early game.
Yeah, almost 6 minutes coming into it. Best Chuck NA going to take a heck of a lot of damage as they try to put so much there on top of Hardek. Oh, it's going to be not enough at the end. Hardek and that fireball is able to take him down, and it looks like they will survive out of this one lossless as well. Beowulf is just trying to protect Bricks at this point. No, they're going to turn around and the stun. They're trying to use the turret as their fourth member. Oh, but it's not enough at all. They will only take the scarf, but a 3-for-1. It is not going to be an ace. The Vox was back on top, but that turret has been taking a heck of a beating, not only from the candies and the repeated pressure from Nemesis, but just the lane minions itself, and on the back of 3 kills, it will be a turret as well.
Yeah, so with the ace and the turret picked up, that's a big gold swing in favor of Nemesis, as they are now up by almost 2,000 gold here, but they're now running away. They thought about trying to take that gold miner, but it's a little bit too strong, especially with Best Chuck on their heels.
So we talk a lot about Chuck, but what's Rick's been up to? I mean, into that lane, he has a swift shooter, into the jungle, I should say. But, you know, a little bit of armor, a lot of armor, actually. A Shiver Steel coming out as well. And so far, I haven't really seen the Crow used to a huge effect yet. It's just way too early into the game. So it does feel like Vertigo just kind of needs to start taking a little bit more easy and rely on Nemesis for the engage. That way they can try to just use any kind of mistakes to their advantage.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that they were going so aggressively with the fact that Kroll hasn't had a chance to scale up yet. Obviously, now level 7 has From Hell's Heart available for that stun, which can really turn the tide of a fight, especially if he hits it from a long distance or gets that boomerang effect. But it just wasn't there in their previous engage, and it just felt like they were just maybe too confident with that early alternating current.
Nemesis looking for Best Chuck NA on that one. They are going to chunk him down. Beowulf now is going to be the big target. He's going to be dropping low, and Arden into the front is enough to secure the kill there for that Scarf. Chuck NA still taking a heck of a lot of damage. Coed's looking for that fireball to pick him off at the end, but now we just got to dance around. Oh, the fireball just brings him down. He's burning. He's burning it. Best Chuck NA is going to drop 6-2 for the score, and Nemesis is going to turn their attention once more onto the gold mine.
Yeah, they should be able to pick this one up. Kroll and Catherine are not going to be able to stop that one. And that's an immense gold payout, 241 gold going over to Nemesis Hydra.
All right, 6-2 and a gold mine. It's just like this 8-minute mark has really yielded some fantastic stuff out of Nemesis. Their invades have not really been super successful, but the fact that Vertigo is the one looking for some of these fights has worked out very well for the Nemesis team.
Yeah, the gold lead has shot up now to about 3,000, a little bit over, and Nemesis just looking really good in terms of their ability to take the fights the way that they want them. They're not letting Vertigo get these heavy all-in engages that they're really looking for. And that's how they're going to win these fights, is letting that heroic perk of Kroll stack up in a bush and then charging out with Catherine with Merciless Pursuit on and trying to catch them off guard. You know, get all 3 members into the middle of their team right off the bat, and it just hasn't been able to work out, and now they're going for it again.
Oh man, they're going to do this. Beowulf just again looking for that mark, and Hardek is a big mark to definitely get a good hero kill for Kroll. He's going to need that cash, and now with a 3v2 advantage, it looks like they're going to be looking on top of Lost Boy. Do we actually have that stun? We do, but Rix is actually really low. Arden looking for the shot. It's going to be the Scarf to actually equal it up, and Lost Boy top with that shield at the end of it all. He is going to survive, so some fantastic play coming out of these teams, but 7-3 by the end of it, only a 1-for-1 trade. And something to note is that Beowulf just hit level 6. He just finally brought that silence into the fray. They have not had it this entire time.
Yeah, that fight was actually so incredibly close. Rix was about half a second away from having Spectral Smite off of cooldown, which if he had that, he had a bunch of stacks onto Arden, would have been a huge heal coming through. But unfortunately, he was picked up before he could get that ability off. And it's those little tiny things, you know, those little half seconds that can completely change the game.
All right, so as we take a little bit of a break here from the teams, as we're just getting back into the fold, you know, Nemesis Hydra up 7-3 and about 3,000 gold or so. They have taken pretty good control of this map, and I gotta say, I mean, they are really starting to kind of come into their own. Again, I'm just not really seeing the usefulness of this Kroll as of yet, but of course, you know, that late game could still shine for him.
Yeah, both teams are posturing up around this turret as they look to just get a little bit of poke down, but not really going to be willing to dive that team. They are a very strong team to defend a turret dive. They don't have the best wave clear other than Vox, but if you try and dive underneath that turret, you're going to be stuck there for a long time. They have a lot of slows, a lot of stuns, especially with the Shiver Steel on Kroll. Obviously, it's a default item essentially for him because he needs to be able to stick to his opponents.
All right, so Hardek, Coeds, and Lost Boy Toph up in there into that lane. They're rolling heavy with all three. And again, you know, with a little bit of that gold lead in their pocket, they are trying to do, again, this heavy push into these turrets, and they are really able to just chunk it down. Look at Hardek just get off like 3 shots, and it's gone down another big chunk. And now with more minions coming into it, you know, there's not much else to do except defend here from Vertigo Black. So they are losing out again, jungle pressure. They are basically stuck in that lane, just trying to make sure that they do not take as much turret damage as they can. And at this point, gold mine, we should have some candies coming out. We do. Lost Boy Toph is on top of it, and because this is about to be an immense payout.
Yeah, the Fountain of Renewal was just picked up there for Lost Boy Toph as well. So both teams now have that incredible regeneration item, and there's the breaking point being picked up from Ringo. I'm a little bit surprised that Rix actually decided to go heavily defensive, getting that Atlas Pauldron finished first before getting his own breaking point, because that is so crucial for the Kroll. But I guess it makes sense, you know, if you aren't surviving long enough to get breaking point stacks, then it's not going to be really doing anything for you. But here comes a potential fight. They catch Toph underneath the current.
Yeah, sure. Catch might actually be the wrong word. The gauntlet should actually stop a lot of this aggression on top of Coeds, but Best Chuck and A just goes right through it there with that reflex. Lost Boy Toph now on the retreat as well. They saw the Toph under the turret, but they made a big opportunity to kill out Hardek, and that's going to be absolutely huge here for Vertigo Black because now they have a little bit of more pressure. This 3v2 situation, they can finally push back out themselves. And, you know, I would actually make a play on the gold mine personally because it's about to pay out.
Yeah, Kroll is at level 11, which means both his A and B abilities are maxed. So Kroll has really hit a big power spike. With getting both of those overdriven, it just makes him so much stronger. It's so much more difficult to kill him. He has a huge shield, a huge heal built into his kit now. And this is where you really need to start watching out for Vertigo Black to start turning this game around.
Ooh, Coeds with the steal at the end of it there. Nice fireball action coming out. Now Hardek and Lost Boy Toph, they're just going to be camping out this shop. And, well, speaking of shops, you know, we wouldn't actually be here without the help of Amazon App Store, NVIDIA, Plantronics, and, of course, Red Bull as well. So if you guys are in the house, you know, we do got some sponsors booths set up there. Go shop a little bit of your own.
Yeah, and who knows what kind of fun items and people you can meet at those booths as well. A lot of representatives here. Definitely something to check out. But in the meantime, we have everyone going back to shop, picking up a few items, ages completed, infusions starting to come out.
Yeah, it is that kind of point in the game, isn't it? About 4,000 gold here to the Nemesis Hydra team. And, well, the defensive maneuvers here, Vertigo Black, well, that's going to be a big fireball, but 480 damage on top of Best Chuck, and he kind of just shrugs it off. It's probably not going to be the big damage that they're looking for, but they did get their turret because of it. Now Beowulf actually could be in some trouble. Yeah, Vox gets in front of it there with that resonance, is trying to ward off the Nemesis team. But, well, the teams will just bounce off each other, but that's another turret now under the belt here of Nemesis Hydra, and we got Kraken coming up here in the next minute.
Yeah, Kraken going to be a big point of contention for these two teams, especially for Nemesis, as they're now getting to that point where it gets a little bit tougher to push into the base here. And Kraken can really be the key to getting through.
Oh, Chuck.
Here comes the fight.
Chuck taking so much damage on top of that burning goo. But at the same time, Coeds, he's not looking so healthy. And Hardek has actually been forced out. The gauntlet coming out with the double stun. There goes one. That's two right there as Coeds comes back into that one. And now this turret is going to be looking sorry very soon. 512 crit. It's already dead.
Lost Boy Toph with that gauntlet knowing the range of it perfectly. He dropped the gauntlet pretty much in place to get the double stun. Absolutely huge play from the Arden, and that is one of those plays that can completely change the course of the game.
It's only best Chuck NA with anything actually he's the only one with the reflex block. So it caught the only two people without it, and they paid for it dearly.
And now we see the Kraken being spawned with a decent gold payout for Nemesis, expanding that lead up to almost 8,000 here now. And this is just really, they've been able to not only win that early game that you expected to win because of the team compositions that are here, but they've been able to keep the pressure up and haven't let Vertigo get that power spike where they just slowly start to turn the game around yet.
All right, 9-4. Might not look insurmountable at this point, but the gold is telling a very different story. 7,000, nearly 8,000 gold between the teams. And still, I mean, Vertigo Black is pretty much just, again, sequestered to their side of the map. They are getting a little bit of jungle farm under their belt, but, I mean, every time Coeds even comes near, oh, they use the vision from the fireball. They're going to be throwing it down on top of Chuck into the back. 500 damage, and now Hardek's going to be moving forward. We had the Warhorn. We had that Twirling Silver. Beowulf is just not going to be looking so healthy after this on Shield, or no. And he is going to drop into that Burning Goo. This could easily be a Kraken, and you can see him going right for it right now.
Yeah, especially with the Ringo being this far ahead, and now obviously with Scarf as well, Kraken is going to be going down very, very quickly. And
those crits are disgusting.
We're 16 minutes in, and there's still no breaking point on Krull.
It is not a good day to be a Krull here in this matchup because, geez, you know, already missing out on so many of those turrets. You're down 6 kills, and there's a Kraken coming for you with a team that is fully infused. Yeah, it is not looking good for Krull's late game at this point.
Yeah, not at all. They really did a good job of staving off the early game. They didn't fall that far behind early on, but just their late game has not been there. They haven't been able to get the fight the way that they want to. It's really every single skirmish has been completely dictated by Nemesis.
All right, Beowulf is going to try to make this one happen. They find Coeds, a good gauntlet, but it's not going to be enough. Best Chuck NA is going to be a big target here from Hardek, but now it looks like he's going to just be all right dealing with Toph, but that gauntlet lasted forever. Beowulf just trying to get those reflex, but Hardek is going to be able to burn right through that. Here's the shield as well, and Beowulf with the counter stun, he's just going to sacrifice himself so that the rest of the team can get away. But remember, there was a Kraken into the back. The turrets are missing, and this Kraken is still fairly healthy. Boss Boy Toph is in the front. We got Hardek there into the back as well, and this turret is just not going to be lasting, and I don't think Rix is either. There goes the Vox, and now Rix is going to be next. 1 and 2. That's the ace and a Kraken. No turret standing in the way. Nemesis Hydra takes game 1 of the series.
Hardek with the hard carry, 9 and 2 on this Ringo. What an